All right, I think I figured it out. Um, I think I'm able to get onto the Facebook and um, perhaps see who's on there and maybe comment or not. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I think eventually I can figure it out. Just wanted to say good morning, how everybody's doing. Hopefully, everybody's doing great. Um, Crazy, right? Life. I know I always start off like a crazy life, crazy life, crazy life. There's a lot going on. And I think the last time that I talked to you guys was kind of telling you what was going on with me mentally, my mental health, my mental well being, and feeling like, hello, good morning, that my boundaries were being crossed and that there was no concern for how that made me feel, right? And I think I did talk about the shaman and how they called it Arctic hysteria for the women who would sort of have these erratic, they call it erratic behavior, but I really think what was happening is that there were people in their space and they wanted to get rid of them, and so they went into this crazy state of mind, and I don't even think that's the right word, but they went into this sort of trance mind and were trying to say, get away from me, stay away, go away, get out of my space. And they were the ones seen as crazy. So I always say, women, please, please, please know that if someone's in your space, if someone's crossing your boundaries, you have every right to tell somebody to leave. And you have every right to stick up for yourself, even if they call you crazy, even if they make fun of you, even if they mock you. And the saga continues because the person that I feel supposed to protect me from this is not. And so there's a lot of things going on. And I want to be just as open as possible to the situation for the mental health of individuals, because mental health is not, I mean, it's something that I care about, right? Obviously, I do this Spirit and Coffee, supporting people with their psychological things, but internally, what's happening to me, right? To be able to overcome the sickness. Now, when we talk about shamans, right, and I think that this is a beautiful thing to think about, is the shaman, where the real shaman, right? And by the real shaman, I'm talking about the real tradition of where the name shaman came from, right? That they, and their story was that it was a person who had maybe what looked like a mental illness, but they were able to overcome it. And because they were able to overcome it, they're able to support other people in overcoming their mental sickness. And there's more to it, obviously, but this is a big piece of what it means to be a shaman. Typically, there's some kind of a mental, they called it epileptic episodes that happened to these people. And they were able to overcome and then heal the entire, culture or the people using their own techniques in connecting to the spirits, right? And they called it the spirits. And so for me, when I started to really recognize, yeah, I too have had some, mental illness, and really didn't think of it that way, until recently, where I started to understand that, yes, in fact, I have trauma that has been reignited or sort of resurfaced in me, right? Good morning, Rawal. And the mental illness that has resurfaced, right? The trauma that I go through, how do I overcome the trauma? How do I overcome this thing that continually shows up and surfaces in my life over and over and over again, right? And so understanding that, how do we overcome it? The mental illness that we have inside. And this is where true alchemy comes from. True alchemy and spiritual alchemy is the ability to overcome sort of what we call the sickness, right? If you want to say Lucifer, if you want to say sin, however you want to label it, right? There's different names for it. Different cultures believe different things. And so if we looked at life as like sin or Satan or the devil or whatever it is, the Lucifer, or whatever. That's really the parts of our brain, right? The reptilian parts of our brain, the survival part of our brain that causes us to do some crazy stuff sometimes. Okay? If we learn how to work with it as opposed to fighting against it, if we understand that it's surfacing up and how to utilize it, right, and we can walk through it, that is alchemy. That is when we transcend. It's being able to understand this, but of course that takes that internal work. We have to look internally to figure out how to do this, right? And at the point that it's messing with your mental well-being. So you have to, for me, I'm cutting people off in my life that have been mentally abusing me for my entire life and didn't even realize it until recently, right? And what is the mental abuse? So it's really understanding where is the mental abuse coming in? Why are you allowing it to happen? Are you communicating that it's not okay? Are you setting those boundaries for yourself? How are you taking care of your mental well-being and your health? What is it that you're doing to support yourself? Sometimes that means cutting off the very people that we love that don't get that they're causing mental trauma. And if they do get it and they continue it, well then obviously you've got to say, I got to walk away. I can't do this anymore because I have a life to live, which is exciting in some ways. So for me, I'm walking away, and not because I don't love the person, not because I don't, it's because I have to take care of me. I have to take care of my mental well-being. And there's abuse there, and they're not recognizing it, or they fail to recognize it, or they don't want to recognize it, or they recognize it and they don't want to do anything about it, or they don't care, or I don't know. It could be a million trillion things, but I can't worry about what they want, or I can't worry about if they're gonna want to engage. So it's okay. So I have to let go. I have to let go for me so that I can save me. And really understanding that, and also understanding the imprisonment that I've put myself in, because what I've done is I've imprisoned myself. And I recognize this. There was a Tibetan exercise that we did. The Tibetan exercise that we did is it helped us look at the spatial places that we're in, right? So where is it that I'm at, and how do I expand my energy? Do I expand my energy? How am I expanding my energy? Is my energy expanding or is it contracting? And really looking at that. How do I take the energy that's in the center of who I am? And I realized that my energy was not being transferred out, right? It was sort of like confined and restricted. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I continue to do it. And it's like, no, I need a space where I can expand, where I can grow, where I can blossom. And so looking for that, okay? So it's really you guys tapping into yourself, all of one of you. I think the one, there's one person on here which is hilarious. Lovely. I am busy. Oh, okay. After a long time, I listened your voice. Oh, thanks. And I think, I don't know if Cece's still on here. Good morning to you if you are. Good morning to those on Spirit and Coffee and Facebook. Usually Betty gets on here, so hopefully Betty's on there. Cheers if you're on here. Sometimes Roberto's on there, so cheers if you're on here. If you're not, still cheers. Cheers. Like I said, I'm gonna write a list of names of people who continually show up, and are looking to support themselves, right, into a their own divine right. So part of it is looking at yourself, right? Good morning, Umbra. Is looking at yourself and really asking yourself, tapping into yourself. So for those of you on Podbean, I will maybe take one caller today for coaching, and if you want to stay on after I let go of the live feeds. So You're more than welcome to do that. You know, I am crying. So tell me why you're crying. What's going on? I know it's hard to just type it out, but you know, um, I'm sorry if you're crying. I'm crying too. Let me tell you that I did a lot of crying these last couple of days, right? Good morning, MT Pod. Um, Crying because of, you know, the human condition. It's really hard. It's not an easy thing, but in alchemy, we take the hard and we sort of like chisel out we sculpture it, right? If you think about the Masonic, right, principles, if you think about masonry, masons were the architects. Masons were the architectural individuals who really were kind of sort of constructing the stone, right? They were the ones who understood how to create caves and living spaces in stone, and it was, you know, chiseling out the stones. And that's why when you talk about Masonic principles, they show this big block and then they show the tools to sort of sculpt your life. And that's the principles of alchemy. You're sort of chiseling away at the things that you're working on, and you're chiseling away until you have this final masterpiece. That's alchemy. So how do you chisel out your life so that it's this beautiful sculptured thing, and it's going to look different for everybody, right? You're missing your mom. Where is your mother? Did she pass away? If she did, I'm so sorry. My condolences. My heart goes out to you. Um, So, really, really understanding how do we chisel out our own life, and how do we live into the alchemy of our life, and how do we transcend. So, if it's like this big block that we have, right? Let's say our life's a big brick of block of blah. How do we take it and how do we start to mold it? Our chisel, a little thing at a time. And there's a lot to unfold and a lot to uncover. So the alchemist, the individual who's committed to true alchemy for the rest of their life, is it's a journey that never ends. I can say that right now because I'm taking the consciousness of sleep and dreams, and right now we're going into Jungian and um, Freud, right, into their perspective on dreams and psychoanalysis and how they utilize the dream world to sort of understand how we are shaped or how we grow as an individuals, um, and how that can give us some insight as to who we are. And I can tell you for myself that my dreams, I dream every night and I remember my dream every day. And they want us to do these sleep journals. So you can really try to do this. Um, but it's becoming overwhelming for me to the point where I can't handle it. Because the inside of our brain, our subconscious mind, our, you know, this space where we don't really kind of understand, right? We can't really touch it. It's not a tangible thing to touch. That at the subconscious level, there's these symbols and imagery, and there's this perhaps storylines that play out. And they're, you know, according to them, they're there to support us. They tell us something about who we are as a person. There's whole cultures that will play out the subconscious mind by putting on masks and having parades. And then when it's over, they go back to their regular self. But the subconscious mind itself has all this information that's available for us. And in that information, right, it's telling us how do we grow as an individual and how do we be true. Do you have mom? Do you remember Raul? Yes, I do have a mother. Thank you for asking. Um, do I remember Raul? What was that for? I do remember you getting on here, yes. But what you said, you missed your mother. What's going on with your mother? So I'll wait for the response. So again, alchemy, spiritual alchemy, tapping into those deeper sides of ourselves, looking at the bricks that we have in front of us, and as we unfold and unveil, that we chisel away to create our masterpiece. Looking through the subconscious mind, asking ourselves, what does the subconscious mind have to offer? What is it that it's giving me? What is it telling me? What is it showing me? So that then I can do something with it, right? So for you, you guys get to look at that and ask yourself, what does the subconscious mind have available for me? How do I move through it? How do I maneuver through it? Okay, you are so lucky. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Your mom lives in America, okay, and you're not living in America. Where are you living? Um, so, and I am in India. Oh, I see. So you guys are split. Well, my love and heart goes out to you. Um, and I hope that you guys can reconnect. That's kind of where I'm at. I need to step away from a situation myself. And to really get clear about my own mental well-being and health, like I said before. So yeah, you're in India. I got that. So hopefully, uh, you guys can reconnect. Okay, is that Kama? If you want to wait a little bit, I will take your call. Um, I'll take your call in just a minute. I take calls after I let go of the individuals on my Facebook and my Instagram. So if you want to hang in there for just a second, I will take your call in just a minute. Um, so as we work through these processes and the spiritual alchemy of our life, remember that you get to set the boundaries, that you get to look at what that means for your mental health and your mental well-being, okay? And how you create those boundaries for your own well-being and your mental health, okay? And so that is what I'm doing. Please give me just a moment. Is it Kama? I think it's Kama. And I will, as I let them go, I will take your call if you want to just hold off for just a second. Um, so there you have it, you guys. Please, please take care of your own um, mental space and capacity, okay? And I love you guys and have the most amazing, beautiful Monday, the marvelous. If those on Podbean, please stay on because I'll take some callers from there. Just give me a moment and I'll answer your call. Yes, I will answer your call in just a second if you want to hold off, and I'll let you know when you can call in. All right, so thank you, those on Instagram and Facebook. I love you. Remember, set your boundaries. Your mental health is important, and your mental well being and your boundaries, okay? So I love you. Have a great day. Bye bye.